multitasking. Okay, Priyanshu, no problem. But you can speak, right? Whenever I call you, then you can speak, or otherwise put it in the chat. Okay, so today we'll discuss the portion we have discussed propensity to consume. Propensity to consume, then two types of propensity to consume we have discussed. Average propensity to consume and marginal propensity to consume. Today we will discuss saving function. So this propensity to consume, that means consumption function we have discussed. So today we will discuss saving function. Saving function, okay? So what is saving function? You know the national income we have, it is either saved or consumed. So the part of the part of the income which is saved, that is your saving. And the relation between the national income and the saving is known as the saving function. Okay, so as in the case of consumption function, you have seen that it is a relation between what and what, income and consumption, where national income and consumption expenditure. So in this case, what is saving function? The relation or the ratio between what, income and your saving, that is known as saving function. So what must be the equation for saving function? I said saving function is the relation between income and saving. So this is also a function of income. You know, the total income is either consumed or saved. That is why Y is equal to C plus S. What is why? Y is equal to C plus S, because the total income is either consumed or saved. And saving is a function of income. So the equation is S is equal to Fy. Fy means the function of Y. What is Y here? Y is as usual. This is the national. Y is the national income. So the national income, the part of the national income which is consumed, that's the function of Y. So saving function is equal to function of Y. In this case also you will see average propensity to save, marginal propensity to save, the concept is same. There you have seen the average propensity to consume. Here you will see the average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save. So what is saving function? Saving function refers to the functional relationship between saving and national income. The simple explanation. It's a relation between saving and national income. And what is the formula? What is the equation? Saving is equal to function of Y, because it is the function of the income. Y means the national income. Okay. And I will show you. I will present my screen. Okay, so we are discussing about saving function. Is my board visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Saving function. Saving function is the relation of what is the relation between the income and saving. That is why you can write S is equal to the function of Y. Y means the national income. So this equation itself shows the meaning of saving function. Y is the function of in here. as you have seen average propensity to consume and average marginal propensity to consume, here you have the marginal propensity to save and average propensity to save. See, I mean, I will show you the graph, how the graph you will depict the saving function. See, this is your y-axis and this is our x-axis, and here income. Here we will denote income in the x-axis, and it's a function of income and savings, right? Income and savings. So in this axis, what you will show? Savings. So the two variables are income and savings. So in this y-axis, you will show what? Savings, and x-axis will show income. And you know, here we have to show the saving curve. In the other consumption function, we have to show the consumption curve like this, because the consumption start not from here, it is not zero, so your consumption curve is look like this. So this was the consumption curve. But so we have to, now I have to draw the saving function, not the consumption function. I'm not going back to consumption again. So we will revise afterwards. So now we have to deal with the saving function. So saving, any idea from, can saving be zero? Can saving be zero, Sandhya?
Yes, ma'am.
Saving can be zero. Can saving be negative?
Yes, ma'am.
Saving can be negative also. When the saving is negative, saving is negative when the income is, you are running at a zero income, you will dissave. That means you will use your past savings or you will borrow money. That means your saving actually start from, I mean, a point which is below zero or from negative. Okay, so saving curve always start from this point. His zero is here, so it can be below. That is, here your saving is zero. In this point, your savings become here it is zero. This point is zero, and saving curve always start from the negative axis, because here a concept is there. When you don't have enough income, you do what? You may borrow or you use the past saving. So there is this saving in the economy. This saving, you are this saving your income. So this portion, this is actually what? This saving. That means the negative, which is below zero. This saving. So this portion, that means it start, saving curve start from negative, because you are not saving anything, but rather you are dissaving. That means you are borrowing or you are using your accumulated saving. That is why it starts from the negative axis. So always remember, the starting point is what? The starting point is from negative axis. So here it will start. Just remember, we have started our consumption curve from here, above zero, and your saving curve will start from below zero, from here. Okay, and here, this is your saving curve. And when this saving curve touches here, this point, see what is the corresponding saving at this point? It is zero. Here, the corresponding point is zero. In this case, savings is equal to zero. At this point, your saving is zero. That is, S is equal to zero. So this is your saving curve. So this way you will represent your saving curve. So I mean, you have to keep in mind very simple thing like a saving curve that always starts from the negative axis. Why? What is the reason? There's a situation where there is zero income and consumption is there due to autonomous consumption. Otherwise, very clearly you can say, due to autonomous consumption, there is minus saving also. That is this saving also. That is why the saving curve starts from the negative axis. So this is due to what? This saving happens due to autonomous consumption. That means even though you don't have income, we have to have some basic needs. We have to meet the basic needs. So that is why this is happening. So this is also denoted by minus C bar. That means it's actually because of C bar it is happening. As it is in the negative axis, we will denote it by minus C bar. and this is the saving line. Once again, I will make it here. So this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis, and y-axis you will denote the saving and x-axis you will denote the income. One second. Okay, I will take a new page. See, this is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. In the x-axis, you will show the income, and the y-axis you will do the savings, and this will start from the negative axis, not from zero. Below zero it will start. So your saving curve will go like this, and at the point it intersects this income line, this means that your saving is equal to zero. This point is known as the break-even point. This point, so each in different cases, the break-even point is different. In this case, this is the break-even point. Saving is zero. Why saving is zero? Because your income is equal to consumption. That stage will come. So that is why your saving is equal to zero. So this is the break-even point. So this is how you will draw the saving curve. So here you write the saving function or saving curve. This way you can represent what your saving function. Put the heading here, saving curve. So this is what you have to do when you are asked to graphically represent the saving curve. The y-axis saving, x-axis income, and this curve will start from a point which is below zero. So you can put another alphabet here, S. Okay, so this is alphabet S. So what is the dissaving here? Zero. OS. You can write OS is the dissaving, or you can say minus C bar. This is actually known as minus C bar. This portion is known as dissaving. So that is what you have to know or understand about the saving curve. I hope you understood. Very simple. Just understand that it starts from the negative y-axis, that is from the negative part, because it is below zero. So once again, okay, as we are here, have a comparison how the consumption curve will go. Consumption is like this, here y and here x. Consumption, this is zero. Consumption always start from above zero, so consumption curve will go like this. That's also an upward line. This is a consumption upward line, because as the income increases, consumption also increases. As the two variables here are income and consumption, we will write income in the x-axis and consumption in the y-axis. And the consumption curve starts from here above zero, and this is an upward line, upward sloping line, because as the income increases, consumption also increases. Here also the same. As the income increases, saving also increases. That is why this is also going upward. Even though it is less proportionate, it will go upward. Here also income increases, consumption increases. Even though not in the direct proportion, it increases. That's why it is going upward. So this is the comparison of your consumption curve and the saving curve. So I hope you understood. If you are asked to graphically represent the consumption curve, you just want to show this. Nothing else. Yeah, here you will show, in this part you will show autonomous consumption C bar. Outside you will show. Okay, from make it a point, just like this is O and this is S. Make it O and this is S. Then you write OS is equal to C bar. This is autonomous consumption, and this is what the consumption curve. And in this case, OS is equal to dissaving. This is due to autonomous consumption. That is why we are, how much consumption is there without income, so that much your dissaving will be there. So how much is your autonomous consumption without income, that much you will dissave, or that much you will borrow. That is why this is minus C bar. I hope you understood. Now we will move to average propensity to save. Okay, what is now some properties? A question can come like write the properties of saving curve. So here you have already seen the properties of consumption curve. Now what are the properties of saving curve? What are the properties of saving curve? There are, you can say it starts from the negative axis. That means starting point of saving curve is, that is negative saving, because of negative saving. It starts from a point which is below 0. So that's the first property. So if you want to write the properties of saving curve, first of all, you have to write, yeah, starting point of saving curve is from below 0. That from because of negative saving. So that's the first property. What is the second property? The slope of saving curve is positive. What is positive? Because of the positive relationship between income and saving, it's an upward slope. It's upward. So that is another property. Then the third property is the break-even point. What is the break-even point? When the saving is equal to 0, saving is equal to 0, this point is known as the break-even point. That is another property you can write. Then what is positive? A corresponding break-even point occurs corresponding to income. From where the saving will start? Just tell me. From here the saving will start. Yes or no? At this point, your consumption is equal to income or saving is equal to 0. After this break-even point, people will start saving. So after the break-even point, from here, there will be, people will start saving. So these are the properties of saving curve. I repeat the properties. It's an upward slope because as income increases, saving increases, even though not in direct proportion. Then second property, the starting point is below 0. Then the third property, when saving is 0, that is in the break-even point. Then fourth point, after the break-even point, people will start saving. From this point, people will start saving. So these are the properties of what? Saving curve. Okay, here also the same. If you have seen in the case of consumption, it starts from a point because, above 0 because of autonomous consumption. Then this consumption curve goes upward because of the positive relation or direct relation between income and consumption. Okay, and this point is known as dissaving also because of autonomous consumption. This much money you dissave. So like that, here also the properties you have seen. So now you will see the average propensity to save. Let me. So what are the propensities to different types of propensity to save? Average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save. Harshit?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are the different types of propensity to save?
Average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save.
What will be the equation for average propensity to save? Just compare it with average propensity to consume.
Ma'am, for average propensity to save,
it's
savings upon income, and for average propensity to consume, it's consumption expenditure upon income.
Yeah, very good. That means you have already seen the average propensity to consume. Both are base of both are what? Income. The base of both this consumption and saving is income because it is a total income that you will save or consume. So the base is income itself. Income is denoted by the letter Y. So in the case of APS, that is average propensity to save, the equation is S upon Y, that is saving upon income. And the case of average propensity to consume, it is consumption upon income. And what will be the equation for marginal propensity to save, Shrestha? Shrestha, are you there? Shrestha? If Shrestha is not there, Sandhya, can you?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the equation for marginal propensity to save?
Ma'am, delta S upon delta Y.
Yeah, delta S upon delta Y. Very good. That means it is simply the addition in saving and addition in income. That means every addition in the income, how much addition in saving is happening? Okay, so what is the addition in income? in saving due to addition in income. That's why the equation is delta S upon delta Y. In the case of marginal propensity to consume, you have seen that is delta C upon delta Y. What is delta C? Change in consumption upon change in income. So here, average propensity to save is equal to saving upon income, and marginal propensity to save is equal to delta S upon delta Y. Okay, so if you know this consumption function, if you know the consumption function, you can write the saving function also. There is nothing new. Wherever consumption come, you have to, put S, that's all. Okay, so here, average propensity to save and marginal propensity to save. I hope the equation is clear to you. Now you see, so you know, this is the saving curve. We have to extend the line because you have to start from both negative. This is the saving curve, y-axis and x-axis. Here we have to write income and here it is saving. So what is average propensity to save? Take any point in the saving curve. Any point in the saving curve, join it with the saving and income. Take any point. So here, anywhere you can take any point and name this point. I'm naming this point as A. This point I am giving the name A and this point as R. And this point I am naming as Y1 because this is the income line. Income is denoted by Y. So I'm making that there is a change. That's why I'm putting it as Y1. So if in the saving curve, this is the saving curve, 1 minute, 1 second. This point is A. This point is A and this point is S. You can give any letter. Any letter. Your equation should match, that's all. So I'm taking 1 point here, any point in the saving curve and join it in the saving and join it in the income. So what is your saving in this case? Your saving in this case is, this is O. Your saving from where you will count from here to here. Is this your saving? This is your saving. At this point, this is your saving and this is your income. I think it is clear to you. At this particular point, this is your saving and this is your income. So what is your saving at this particular point? OR. In this particular point, your saving is OR. And what is your income? OY1. Your income is OY1. So in this particular case, your average propensity to save is equal to OR upon OY1 because you know APS is equal to what? Your saving upon income. APS is equal to saving upon income and your saving here is OR and your income here is OY1. So just substitute this formula here, OR upon OY1. So this is average propensity to consume. So if you are asked to graphically represent the average propensity to consume, this is the graph. Is it clear? Is it clear? Why there is no sound? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
बाकी लोग सो गए क्या? So average propensity to consume. Do I want to repeat? Do I want to repeat this particular graph? Do I want to make it again? If you want once again?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, you speak if you want to repeat. If I want to repeat. See, I will draw it once again. So this is your y-axis. This is your x-axis. Y-axis and x-axis. First of all, what we are going to depict on this graph, average propensity to save. And average propensity to save, you know it is a relation between what and what. It is a function of y. You know what? Saving is a function of y. So because of that, we will depict in the x-axis income and y-axis saving, because you are going to depict average propensity to save here. And you also know that it starts from a point which is below 0, that is from the negative axis, and you have an upward slope. This is our saving curve. That's all. This is your saving curve. You know at this point your saving is 0. At this point your saving is 0, and this is known as the break-even point. Your saving is 0, that is your income is equal to consumption. That's why this is the break-even point that you know. And here to here, due to autonomous consumption, you are dissaving. That is why this is minus C bar. This also you know. That is what you have seen in the saving function. Now, what is average propensity to consume? Take any point. I'm taking a point here because I have written any point in the saving curve. I'm taking this point and join this point to the y-axis to know the saving, and to the x-axis to know the income. So at this particular point A, I am naming this point as A. At this particular point A, your what saving is here? Your saving is here. So I am giving a letter R here. I am naming this point as R. So what is your saving at this point? OR. Suppose there will be different numbers written. Suppose it is 200. This is 100, 150, 200. So then you will say 200 is your saving. As the numbers are, letters are given here, we will say the saving at this point is OR. The saving at this particular point A is equal to OR. So I will write saving is what in this case? OR. And what is the income at this case here? Income means at that particular point, you just match it to or join it to the x-axis. Here, I am giving it the name Y1. I'm giving the name Y1 because you know Y is the actual income and Y1 is the change in income. So I'm giving it Y1. So what is the income in this particular point? This particular point, the income is this O2 Y1. So the income is equal to O Y1. What is O? O is this point, the starting point, O Y1. So this is the income at this point, and this is the saving at this point. And you know what is the formula for APS? APS is equal to saving upon income. What is the saving here? OR. And what is the income here? OY1. So this is the graphical representation of average propensity to save. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I will keep this board for a few seconds. Go through that. The same thing is given in your textbook also. Till you go through this. Okay. Now, some properties of average. You have seen some properties of saving curve. Now we will see the properties of APS. The properties of average propensity to save properties. Can average propensity be 1? APS, can APS be 1? APS is equal to 1.
No, ma'am.
Okay, Priyanshu, somebody else. Can APS is equal to 1? What is APS? Average propensity to save. Can it be 1 or can it be more than 1? APS is more than 1. Please understand the logic. What is saving? The part of income which is by which you have as a surplus after your consumption. That is known as saving. You know, C plus S is equal to income. Income is either saved or consumed. And what is 1? The total income is depicted as 1. The total income is depicted as 1. So my question is, can APS be 1?
No.
Shrestha, can APS be 1? Today Shrestha is not there, it seems. Anjali, is Anjali present?
Yes, ma'am.
Can APS be 1?
No, ma'am.
Sorry?
No, ma'am.
Why? The reason?
Ma'am, because savings can never be equal to the income.
Yeah, the income, some part of the income we have to consume. Yes or no? Good, very good answer. So total income, nobody will save. A part of the income will be saved, not the full income. Okay, one is the total income. Y is actually 1. The national income Y is actually 1. So a part of the income is consumed. So APS can never be equal to 1. And it cannot be more than 1 also. Your income itself is 1. Then how can you save more than 1? So this is one of the very important property of average propensity to save. Average propensity cannot be equal to 1 because the whole income is never saved. Some part of the income is consumed. And it cannot be more than 1 also because you cannot save more than your income. So this is the first property of APS. It is average propensity can't be, it is not equal. It is not equal to 1 or it cannot be greater than 1. It can be less than 1, isn't it? It can be less than 1. It can be 0 also. Can APS be 0? Can APS be 0? Karthik, yes or no? Can APS be 0?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? How? How APS can be 0? Know the answer? If you don't know, say no, that's all.
No, ma'am.
How APS can be 0? See, if you are using your total income for consumption, your total income is used for consumption and saving, that is C plus S. Suppose you are getting rupees 25,000 and you are consuming the full income. You are not saving. In that case, what is your average propensity to save? What is your average propensity to save?
0.
Ma'am, 0.
It is 0. What is the reason? You are not saving at all. The entire income you have, you are consuming. That means your APC is equal to 1. Your APC, that means average propensity to consume is equal to 1. The entire income you are consuming, not even you are saving a single penny. That is why your APS can be 0. Can your APS be negative? Can your APS be negative?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How? Because of this saving. Okay, when you are spending more than your income, consuming more than your income, you know there is this saving also. You borrow from others and they're using it. In such case, your APS can be negative. Okay, and your average propensity to save that may rise with the rise in income. APS may rise or it will rise, it increases with the rise in income. APS increases with the increase in income. These are the 4 properties. You have to understand, don't by heart it. APS can never be equal to 1 because the entire income nobody can save. They want to use it for some consumption purpose also. So APS can never be 1. So if the reason is asked, you have to give explanation like this. APS can never be more than 1. Why? Because we cannot save more than our income. That's the reason APS can never be more than 1. Next, APS can be equal to 0. That means the entire income you are consuming, not saving. In that case, APS equal to 0. APS can be negative. When your income is not sufficient, you may borrow money. You may use you may use the past savings. In that case, your APS can be negative. And average propensity to save increases with the increase in income. That is why in the graph you have seen an upward moving line. Okay, this is consumption. So in the saving function curve, you have seen an upward moving line just because as the income increases, saving also increases. These are the very important four properties of average propensity to consume. In any of the points, why APS is not equal to 1, APS is greater than 1, APS is equal to 0, negative, any point, any doubt, please ask. At any point. You please speak. If it is any doubt, you speak. No doubt, say no doubt. Otherwise, I feel like disconnected from you.
No
Am I
doubt,
there in the
ma'am.
No doubt, ma'am. No doubt.
Okay. So today I think the time is over. There is no time to cover marginal propensity to save. So if you know the average propensity to save, definitely you can understand the marginal propensity to save also, because you know we have already